You heard all those great things Cindy said about me, right? Well, we can pretend this is my first time doing this. Because every day is a new day. Right? Welcome, everyone. Glad everyone's here. Thank you for joining us, and everyone online. We know somebody needs to hear this. So as Cindy said, in July, this is right from our newsletter. Do you guys read the newsletter?
Yes.
Okay. In July, we will be exploring our own personality constructs and the limitations that are created by our perceptions. This month will allow us to refine our own image of self so that we can believe we are children of God. So what stuck out to me was refine. As always, as metaphysical Christians, we are always focusing on becoming the Christ. We're always healing, growing, evolving, letting go what no longer serves us, trying to be more loving, trying to see with the eyes of God, feel with God's heart, be God's hands, right? And so we know our big stuff, right? We know we're all working on our issues, and we all know what they are, and we all have them. And they're all the same, and they're all different. So as metaphysical Christians, we're always growing and evolving. So, and we're going to be looking at some teachings of Jesus to help us understand how to apply that. And it's not easy, is it? Because we're still here, right? It's not easy. So we are going to look at ego and will. So you all know what ego is. Does everybody know what ego is? Ego, if you take our metaphysics classes, is defined as our outer navigational tool. It's our outer focus that helps us assess the outer in order to feel safe. It's who are we in the outer? It goes out, gathers data, what's happening, assesses the data, and brings it back, and then we're supposed to go, okay, what do I do with that to be safe, to express my desires and my creativity and my will? And the ego is only outer focused. And we need that because we are all together and we're in this world, and we need to have a reference point, right? But the problem is it has a limited perception across the spectrum of every emotion. So we all think if someone has a big ego, they might be overbearing or think too highly of themselves, or they might be obnoxious or arrogant. That's ego. But ego is also if you feel unworthy. I'm not good enough to be in the outer. Are you loud or are you quiet? Are you the life of the party, joking? Are you angry? Are you nice? Are you perfectionist? Do you think nobody likes you? Are you a neat freak? Are you critical? Is everything your fault, or is nothing your fault? This is ego. It's the information has been given to us, and then we're saying, how can we be safe? How can I manage to exist in this outer world? And our will is our energy that we use to invest into our desires and create what we want. So everybody wants to feel safe and accepted, right? Right, okay. So we create patterns to help us feel safe. So say when you were young, or when I was young, the ego is saying, Mom's really angry. I better just go to my room. Or my ego is saying, I can't accept Dad because he always says, oh, sis, my ulcer. So therefore, it's not safe for me to express how I'm feeling, so I won't speak. These are patterns that help us survive in the moment, right? And it gets us through. This is how we can survive without getting punished, with still kind of getting our needs met. But what happens is we carry those patterns become habits. They become habits that really don't serve us any longer. So this is from Right Use of Will. Habits are a problem because they override the sensitive response of the body to a particular situation and instead impose a ritualized response of learned behavior for the person that the person has used in the past, whether the present calls for the same response or not. Response from the habit prohibits response that is attuned to that particular situation. So are we really present? Habits are to the body what judgments are to the consciousness. Both have a rigidity. Habitual behavior is a judgment that was called for once and what is called for now, and therefore no change or growth has taken place. In actuality, change is needing to be constantly ongoing. In the same way that judgments stop the control of movement of our consciousness, habits stop and control the movement of the body. And the body is run down by its lack of sensitivity to its always changing needs. So we know when we judge something in our consciousness, it creates a block. And it's still going to continue to draw what we judge to us. So it's creating a crimp in our consciousness. And then our habits of behavior are creating that block and rigidity in our being, which doesn't allow us to be pliable to the newness of spirit to help direct our will to be safe in what we want, in creating what we desire. Everybody breathe. Does everybody understand? Okay. And then from those habits that we create, they become part of our personality. So our personality is our mask that we put on. It's a compilation of our behaviors that help us survive in the world. So we can change. And I think most of us are true to who we are. And I think we may be the same in all situations. But sometimes people may act differently at church than they do in a bar. Sometimes you put on a different persona to fit in with a bunch of girlfriends or to be with your family. Do you put on a mask to fit in with your family so you're accepted? So you don't make any waves? You guys are really quiet. Again, the word is refine. And not all our habits are bad. We have some good habits that still may be limiting us in exercising our will to create what we want. So part of a personality that I have that could be changed is that I'm pretty quick to say no. No, I don't want that. No, I don't want that. My mom said no to everything. No, no, no. Mom, you want to go here? No. Do you want this to eat? No. You sure? No. Are you sure? I know you really like, no. Well, okay. You know, you had to do 10 no's to get, she really did want it, but no was to keep her safe from being disappointed, from going outside her comfort zone, from having to change or do anything different. Do you see? And so I can be quick to say no. I could be more gracious. If someone asks me if I want to do something, I say no. because I know I don't want to, but do I say no so quickly so that I don't have to, what do I say after that? Do I have to defend standing up for myself because when you've been forced to do things you don't like continually, and then you start to have boundaries and you have to say no for protection, then sometimes we can carry that too far. So me saying no initially was for me to stand up for myself. No, I don't want to be put in that situation. No, I don't want to do it just because you want me to, so then I'll be the good girl. Right? We can be the people pleaser so that I'm liked and appreciated. That keeps me safe. I'm liked and accepted. So you have to start saying no. And when you say no, then you're kind of bringing back your own power and choosing to be able to feel safe. But then, do I really have to say no so quickly? I don't really have to stand up for myself anymore. I can say, oh, thank you so much. I'm just really not guided to do that right now. You see the difference? But I still can be short and quick and impatient and tell it.
Not really.
Henri, tell it like it is. I'm kind of the get on with it. Tell me, just get on with it. Ask me the question. Don't ask me to. If you want to ask me something, just ask me the question. And why is that? Is that my personality, or is that who I am? Is it because, okay, I have to hurry up and know because I have to hurry up and give you the answer so I can know to be okay? What if I'm not comfortable sitting in the moment going, I don't know what to say right now? Do we all like to be, we don't like to have that uncomfortableness, do we? We kind of got to know so we can control and feel safe. Because we don't trust. We're not trusting. So when you say no, or we have our habits, we're not open to any other solutions. And so we have healthy habits that can be just as rigid. So I used to always have to walk when I get up. I used to have a lot of energy when I woke up, and before I meditated, I would have to exercise or walk. And so that was my thing. This is, I get up, go outside, walk, come back, and then be able to sit down. And now I was trying to hang on to that, and I go, no, I have to walk, but I'm being called, I really need to sit and meditate. No, I have to walk first. I have to walk first. All good habits, but being in that habit, I wasn't listening. This habit of walking and then meditating was keeping me safe because it was good for me. It was helping me set for the day and get centered. And so it's all good, but I was being called to meditate first and not walk. But I walked. But I missed the inflow of spirit, and I got back and then I meditated. But do you hear what I'm saying? We have healthy habits that serve us for a period of time, whether it's what you eat, what you drink, what music you listen to, what you watch, what your affirmations are. We've created these healthy habits, and we stick with them. But sometimes we need to check in and go, is this still helping me grow? And what else could I be doing? Is my exercise so rigid that I can't go over here? Breathe, 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 breathe. The point is, we don't want to be rigid. When we're rigid, they become our excuses to keep us safe and to not grow. So we're trying to refine. And when we have our habits, we're really not choosing. We may have chosen a while ago said, I love this, this is for me, and I'm going to do this, but then we stop choosing. Then we stop using our will to choose and connect with divine will, saying, is this still good for me? This is all good stuff, but is this what I need to be doing now? Okay. There's a parable in the Aquarian Gospel, chapter 141. It's really interesting where Spirit leads you. There is, okay. Starts on 30. They were jockeying, people were jockeying. They're at a banquet and they're jockeying for a seat position. You've all heard it. He who, the highest will be made low and the low will be exalted. Well, we're not going to talk about that. This is after that. Then Jesus spoke to all the guests. He said, which any one of you would make a feast, it should not be for friends or kindred or rich, for they consider such a courtesy loaned out, and they feel called upon to make a greater feast for you, just in payment for a debt. So what they're saying is, don't invite your friends and people you know, because then they're going to feel owed to you and they're going to have to throw you a bigger feast. And so they're going to come up with these excuses not to go to the feast. Okay? Have we all? I have to invite. I went to her wedding, so now I have to invite them to our wedding. Conditioned habits that are driven from ego. Already, right? But when you make a feast, invite the poor, the lame, the blind. In this a blessing waits for you, for well you know that you will get not in return, but in the consciousness of helping those in need, you will need to be recompensed. You will be recompensed. And then he spoke a parable. He said, a wealthy man prepared a feast. He sent his servants forth to bid his chosen ones to come. But they desired not to go, and they formed such excuses as they thought would satisfy the would-be host. One said, I have just bought a piece of land, and I must go and prove my title to the land. I pray to be excused. So back in the day, they would put a deposit on a piece of land, and then they'd have to meet and go inspect it, and then, pay the rest. And if they didn't, then they'd lose their deposit. Makes sense, great excuse, right? Another said, I must go down and prove my ownership in sheep that I have bought. I pray to be excused. So back then, they could purchase livestock, sheep, on a trial basis, and then you could return them for free if you didn't like them, but then you had to go back and pay for it. So obviously, really good excuse. Another said, I've been married, but little time, so I cannot go. I beg to be excused. Really, my wife's not going to let me go. That's not what it means. But have we all said that? Our spouse, I can't do that. My spouse wouldn't like that. But it was their Jewish law that if they were going to be married, they were excused from war. Now this is a feast, but it's an excuse. Now when the servants came and told the man who had prepared the feast, those who he had invited would not come. The man was grieved in heart, and then sent his servants forth into the streets and alleys to the town to bring up to the feast the poor, the lame, and the blind. Then the servants went abroad and found the poor and lame, and they brought them in, and there was still more room. Then the host set his men of arms to bring by force the people to his feast, and then the house was full. Do you think this was the proverbial 2x4? And God made a feast for men long years ago. He sent his servants forth to his favored sons of men. They would not hear his call. They came not to the feast. Then he sent his servants to the strangers and the multitudes. They came, but there is more room. Behold, for he will send his angels forth with a mighty trumpet blast, and men will be compelled to come to the feast. So, coming to the feast is coming back into God's will, into the abundance, the flow, everything that exists. And what is in God's will? Everything. And haven't we already chosen our will and divine will? But maybe we're not willing to pay the perceived price of letting go of our excuses. Believing that you had to reciprocate was based on ego. What habits, patterns, personalities are we still allowing based on custom to fit in? Although we never want to offend anybody or hurt anybody's feelings, and that is not our intention, but what is really keeping us from receiving the abundance of God as his children? So we don't have to be in the moment and be uncomfortable and not knowing what to say or act. So we can use our will to take back our power from our ego. Our ego, we need our ego. We need that gathering of information and the data and assessing, but we can't allow the ego to drive the bus. We need the ego. So we can use our will, take the information, go back to divine will. What is the best way for me to express my will in these circumstances for the highest and best of all concerned, not for my safety? We really don't have to worry about being safe, really. So we can say, wait a minute. This looks like it might be dangerous, or wait a minute, this looks like it may be uncomfortable. Wait a minute, I just don't know if I'm good enough. Wait a minute. Go back through all our little, what is our habits that are keeping us? And it's just tiny, tiny little habits. We're not even going to look at big stuff because we do that all the time. What is the little things that keep us from flowing? And we can still, if you go back and look, are you going to be the life of the party? You can still do everything the same. You can be the life of the party, but are you being the life of the party because you are truly joyful? Or are you being the life of the party to keep things superficial? Are you going to be a perfectionist because you love the way things have a certain place, because it thrills your soul, or is it because you're afraid you're going to be criticized? Nothing needs to even change. The reason why you're doing that can change. Is my ego stopping me from being present in my expression? My ego allows me to stand up here. My ego was also going, don't know what to say. As I'm pacing and going to the refrigerator, I need a snack. Going to the pantry, I need a snack. How can I avoid doing this? I have my process. But I know it's my process. And we all do it, right? Let me feed. Wait, I need to be fed by spirit. No, I need some chocolate-covered raisins. Stop eating, Cheryl. Are your habits and your personality truly what you desire? Or are they a condition born out of being safe, where that condition no longer exists? Just a question to think about this week. The ego is, who am I in the outer? we can move from who am I in the outer to the divine will, I am. Let's anchor that in. Just take a nice deep breath. And just allow your body to settle. And God, I ask that a calm of your love and light come over this entire group. I ask that a calm of your love, light, peace come over each person here and each person who hears my words. And I ask that Jesus the Christ be with us and be with each person. Just look into the eyes of the Christ. Feel that acceptance, loving, acknowledging your own divinity as child of God. He is our brother. And let's just lift up this calm of light with the Christ. Just up a little bit, where you can just observe yourself. It's not to be critical or judgmental. Just observe. Is there a pattern, a personality that is keeping me from really expanding, receiving the divine love and flow of spirit? Maybe something you say, I'm not changing, and that's okay. It could be the smallest thing, the smallest perception. And in that space, just see whatever it is, just send love to it and light for healing to original cause. To allow it to unfold, to unravel into a newness of expression, of freedom of expression. That's good for the whole, still being your desire. And just allow whatever comes up, come up. And just feel yourself accepting that, being that, enjoying that. Feel like the edges of your consciousness and your body are becoming more pliable to receive the inflow of spirit in order to manifest your desires in the outer. And just take a nice deep breath. And God, we are so grateful, and we thank Jesus the Christ for always being with us. We are never alone. And just feel your body coming back down in the chair, taking a nice deep breath. And when you're ready, just gently open your eyes. We need to always be pliable because you can't put new wine in old wineskins. Have a wonderful week expressing your true will. So it is.